Resources. The border determines who owns the resource. In fact, let's have a look at some examples as we go through, because that's actually a good example. So if you go to the northern border of Australia, so this is us here obviously, that's Papua New Guinea, and I've actually given you this one in our links here, and you click on the borders of Australia, right? You go right up there, so Queensland, Torres Strait, that's Papua New Guinea, right? That island right there is Australia. That, on the other hand, is actually Papua New Guinea. Now the distance between those is actually not very far. So if we go out from there to here, we're looking at a total difference between the mainland of Papua New Guinea and the last part of Australia as being 9.5 kilometres. We own and we take control of all the resources to the south of that line. So let's just be really clear about that. If there's a fish, if there's an oil reserve, if there's anything of value, there, it's ours. If it's on that side, they get it. How fair do you think that is?
Okay.
That island there, just the same. That's actually Australia. We own that one. And it's the same situation, so if I clear that.
Can you sell an island?
You can sell islands, but it's a very rare thing to do.
Sell a
And
country?
it hasn't actually happened in the last 100 years. So it's a very good question. And the answer is it doesn't happen. Well, it can happen. It's very difficult to actually do. I'll come back to that in a second. So these islands, very, very close. We own all the resources on that side. They're ours. Now, in terms of can you buy and sell, the answer is yes. And the last classic example of that was the United States, which buys everything. And in fact, they bought Alaska. So there's Alaska there. And who would they have bought it from, you reckon? There's Alaska. We're all familiar with Alaska. Who owned Alaska before the Americans did? Because they actually paid for it. They paid cash. They paid millions of dollars. And at the time, the president was criticised for wasting American money. But he figured it was a good buy. Canadians didn't own it.
No,
The Russians owned it. He actually bought it from the Russians. The Russians figured it was so far away, they didn't want to be bothered with it. They figured that their natural border is probably going to be here. So they were happy if all of that was going to be Russia, they would sell that bit off. They weren't too worried about it. Okay. But in the middle, this is called the Bering Straits, and in the middle there, they have got two little islands. I think I've got some here, natural waters, where I've done it. And these islands here are in fact the border now, the Bering Strait. And one's quite large and one's actually very small. And let's have a look. So this is the actual border. It looks like one island because it's permanently covered with ice. That side there is Russian. That side there is American, and you can actually walk between them in the middle. This one's called Tomorrow Island, and that one's called Yesterday Island. Why? Seven.
international date line goes right through.
Correct, because the international date line goes right smack bang down through the middle, and that's how they actually go. So when the Russians sold the Americans Alaska, they sold them that island, Little Diamond Island. And if you have a look at it carefully, which is great in Google Earth, you'll find there's absolutely nothing there except some radar stations, which they use to listen to the Russians. And that's it. And the Russians have got the same on the area. Now, Google Earth here is a bit deceptive, because that looks like that's actually open water. It's very, very seldom able to be indicating anything through. That's ice almost all the year round. And so you can actually walk from Russia to America. Which is a good trick question, because most people don't think you can. So we've got resources, that's the first one. We've got defence. That's a good example of defence. Both sides have got things smack bang on the border to be listening to the other side.